Hey everybody, it's the Herb Guy with the Elder Herb Shop, and welcome back to Where Science Meets Nature, a channel where we discuss the medicinal value of plants and other natural substances found in nature all around us, with a little bit of science thrown in because we can. Today I'd like to talk about something that's rather important, and we're going to go over 5 reasons why you shouldn't use herbal medicine. Now, if you've been one of my followers for a while, or you actually know me, you're like, dude, you're crazy. Why would you even be saying such a thing? That is so counterproductive. And to a point, it kind of is. But it's really relevant, you know, and there are really times that you really shouldn't ever use herbal medicine. Now, from about 20 years ago, when I first started really getting into the medicine part of herbs, I was very vehement about how I thought herbs worked, how they should work, and when anybody I talked to, man, I tried to convert the masses. I did everything I could, and if people didn't listen, I'd get all indignant and huffy, and it'd be like, oh my gosh, how could you not see it? It works, and you know, I would try so hard to convince people that they really needed to try herbs instead of using their drugs, and they always ended up looking at me like I was a kook. And for mainstream here in the United States, mainstream stuff, yeah, I mean, that kind of is a kooky thought, isn't it? That you could actually use a plant to fix your medical conditions. Because here in the U.S., that's not what we're taught. We're not taught that you can heal yourself, you can fix yourself, you can do the things that you need to do to make your body healthy, to make yourself healthy and strong. You know, you have to go to a doctor, you have to take drugs. Did you know that 50% of the U.S. population either has, had, or is currently on some sort of prescription medication? That's like 160 million people, give or take. That's a lot of people. And who makes money on that? Well, the pharmaceutical industry makes money on that. And, you know, money is what makes the world go around. So you're not going to convince other people that they shouldn't do it. And, you know, there's a certain sense to it too. You know, the placebo effect is kind of relevant in this particular aspect, because if somebody actually thinks that their drug is going to work, it probably is. If their doctor is optimistic about it, that'll help as well. If the doctor goes, wow, you know, we've had a lot of really good results with this drug and there's no side effects, and he goes through all of that, the patient will believe that, and oftentimes will share the results of what the doctor expected, because the doctor is positive and upbeat. Well, on the other hand, the doctor is like, man, this is going to make everybody miserable, and you know, we haven't had a lot of success, and it's just in the test phase. Then the herb is probably not going to work at all. You see my handy dandy assistant Soul? Yeah, he's hunting chipmunks, which we're okay with. Don't wander too far. So, okay, so let's get on to the reason why we're doing this video. Why? 5 reasons why you shouldn't use herbal medicine. Now, the first reason is because you're not sick. I mean, if you're not sick, you don't need to take a medicine. And I've known a lot of people that like to take their herbs every day, and, you know, when they find out that I'm an herbalist, they, oh yeah, well, I take this every day, and I take that every day, and I do this, and, you know, and it's great. That sounds wonderful, right? But there's certain herbs you just don't need to take every day. I know some people that just live and die, well, I mean, maybe ultimately too, by drinking milk thistle tea. And milk thistle is a great herb, really it is. It's used worldwide to help fix the liver. You know, it's used for cirrhosis and fatty liver and all that stuff. It's a really amazing herb, it really is. But if you drink it every day, your liver gets used to it. So your liver will ultimately, if you drink that stuff every single day, will come to rely on that milk thistle to give it the boost that it needs in order to function the way it's supposed to function. And then you stop taking it, and then you're going to have problems. And then that's when somebody goes, oh, well, it was that stupid milk thistle that he took. He took the milk thistle, and that's what made him sick. No. I mean, yes and no. Yes, he took the milk thistle and ultimately got sick from it, but not the milk thistle. It wasn't the milk thistle that made him sick. It was the fact that he was no longer using it, and his liver had become dependent on it. So, I mean, that's relevant. relevant to this discussion. It's relevant to how you use your herbs. It's really, really important. You know, you got to be careful with how you use it, you know, and if you're not sick, don't use them at all. I mean, yeah, you can have some peppermint or chamomile, something that'll help with maybe sleeping, or, you know, you just had a stressful day. Those herbs are great for that. But when you start getting into some of the other herbs, and some of the herbs that have real medicinal properties that are powerful, you don't want to use them every day. You don't want to. You don't want to take your echinacea golden seal every day. There's some people that, oh, I take it every day. Well, that's great. But you don't need to take some of the most powerful herbs on the planet. That'd be like taking an antibiotic every day. You know, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take my amoxicillin every single day. Well, eventually your body's going to get used to it, or whatever you currently have is going to get used to it, and it won't help anymore. You know, it's a real thing. So, reason number one, if you're not sick, don't take them. Now, the second reason why you wouldn't want to use herbal healing or herbal medicine or natural healing is if you're already on farms. You know, if you've got some sort of pharmaceutical you're taking for some medical condition, then yeah, I mean, you're already taking that. You don't need to take an herb, because typically speaking, oftentimes I should say, most of the pharmaceuticals that are on the market are made from some sort of natural substance anyway. So if you're taking an herb for something, it's very likely and possible that you're ultimately getting the same compounds that you're getting from your pharmaceuticals in your herbs, and you'll either overdose and you'll have too much of the medicine or the compound that you need, or they'll cancel each other out, and then you're doing zero good. And then you'll end up one of those people, oh, don't use herbs because they don't work. Well, but, you know, you weren't using the basic common sense that you needed to use in order to make that more effective, right? You know, if you're already on pharmaceuticals, you don't want to take herbs to start fixing things, because it may not fix it. It may cause more problems than good. If your doctor doesn't know anything about it, yeah, you can do your own research, but you really need to find somebody in that field that really knows what they're doing to either confirm or to reassess your prescription or any of that. But, you know, you don't want to do it by yourself, and you don't want to double up on your medicine. That's just all sorts of a terrible idea everywhere, all the way around. That's just rotten. Don't do that. So, you know, if you're not taking farms, if you're not taking some sort of medicine, you know, you stand a better chance. But there's other things that you can do instead of just, you know, going and taking a bunch of herbs to make things better. You know, you have to actually really start paying attention to what's going on around you. You got to pay attention to your body. You got to know the symptoms. You got to know the root cause. You know, the symptoms are all well and good, but if you try to do it like modern day doctors do and just treat the symptoms, well, you're never going to get anything any better, right? You're just not going to make it any better. You're just going to make things worse, and then you're going to blame the herbs for it. Oh, it's all the herb's fault because, you know, I took it and it just made me sick. Well, you know, you were the one that was not paying attention. You know, don't blame the herbs for your silliness. Okay, so I kind of a rant there. The third one is kind of important, you know, is because you just don't want to. I don't want to take your herbs. Man, that stuff's not going to work, because that does have a real effect. So, sorry, he wanders off. You don't want to. You don't want to take it. And if you don't want to take it, that means you don't think it's going to work. You know, you think, you know, you either you have something else you plan on taking, or, you know, your condition isn't so bad that you need to take anything at all. You know, you don't want to listen to the science. You don't want to listen to herb lore, you know, because that's from a long time ago. You know, herb lore is thousands of years. We've been using herbs for thousands of years. We've been using them medicinally as our medicine up until about 100 years ago, give or take. Maybe 120 now at this point. But, you know, the herbs and herbal medicine and natural compounds were what we used to heal ourselves. We healed ourselves with nature. And, you know, doctors were okay with explaining it to people that way. There's even in old textbooks. They'll tell you that, you know, when they were trying to tell the doctors how to tell people, you know, they were telling them, don't be ostentatious about it. Don't use big words and make it confusing. Use simple words so everybody can understand. You know, they didn't want somebody to have to come to a doctor every 5 minutes. Yes, that's how they made their living. And yes, they made a very good living, keeping people alive. But oftentimes they told people how to fix themselves for the most common stuff because it just made more sense. You know, he doesn't have the time to run out 15 miles in the middle of nowhere on a horse. It made it hard. It's difficult, hard to travel. But as, you know, transportation became more of a thing, as pharmaceuticals got larger and had more political influence, they were able to make it so they took all the herb stuff out of the pharmacopoeias, at least here in the United States. Any herb information was taken out of the pharmacopoeias, and it was replaced with the chemical compounds. And in roughly 1904, 1906, something like that, Bayer aspirin initially was going to try to patent the white willow tree, because that's what they were currently making their aspirin out of, or at that time, of course. And the patent office laughed at him and said, man, you guys are nuts. You can't patent a tree. You can't patent a plant. It's not, you know, that's dumb. Don't do that. So John Bayer decided to write an internal memo from the history that I've read, and he stated, from this point on, we no longer will use herbs as our medicine. We will break them down chemically so we can patent the chemical compounds that we make from the herbs, and that's what we'll use as our medicine. And that's where your pharmaceutical industry really began in the United States. And then in roughly from about the 20s to the 40s, there were several doctors with the American Medical Association who ensured that they crushed out any type of positive that came from herbal medicine. And the pharmaceutical industry began then. I mean, they're almost as bad, if not worse, than the military industrial complex. It's all one big money-making scheme, and nobody gives a crap about the bottom person, which would be us, just as long as they get their bottom line and their profit. So, you know, if you don't want to take them, don't do it. Don't waste your money. Don't waste anybody's time asking about it if you don't really want to. Don't waste your time. Don't bother. You either want to be sick, you know, and that sounds bad. Sorry if it comes across as crude or crass or insensitive. But some people just want to be sick. So, you know, it goes to that. That kind of goes along in with the next one that I wanted to talk about. And that's if you don't think it'll work. If you don't think that herbal medicine is going to work for you, don't take it. Because it won't work for you. It'll never work for you. You'll waste tons of money. You'll waste your time. You'll even get your hopes up, kind of, you know, because you kind of think it might help because, you know, Joe next door or Sally from across the street had told you, oh, well, it did wonders for so-and-so. But in your mind, it's like, well, nothing ever works for me. And you've met those people. Nothing ever works for me. Doesn't matter what you give me. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. So, yeah, guess what? It never will. And I tell people that come into my store that, too. You know, if you come in here and you don't think that this stuff is going to work, don't waste your time buying it. Don't waste your money. You know, go spend it on something else. Win the lottery, anything. Don't waste it on this stuff. And it's a terrible business model, but it's accurate. And the reason why I do that is because I'm not trying to convert anybody anymore, right? I'll tell you one time, you know, this is what it is. And then at that point, you have the ability to make up your own mind on whether or not it works and whether or not you want to use it. And if you don't want it, you know, if you don't think it's going to work, it never will for you. It never will. But those are the same people that nothing ever works. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a pharmaceutical drug or sunshine. You know, science says sunshine does this. Well, you know, those people guarantee that it doesn't work for them. Not for me. I am so unique that even though 50 million other people it works for, I'm the one person out of that 50 million it doesn't work for. My thought on that is, okay, well, you know, I mean, it's kind of terrible to be you, but okay, you go enjoy your misery. Because I'm not going to try to convince you, and you're just going to end up being sick and miserable for the rest of your life. And no, I'm not being insensitive, I'm just being practical about it. You know, that it's a thing that's called the Nocebo Effect. For those of you who've been around a lot of times, you'd understand that I'm a real big fan of the placebo effect and how the placebo effect works. Well, there's also the nocebo effect, and the nocebo effect works just as effectively as the placebo effect. And if you don't think it's going to work, doesn't matter what you get, it won't work. Now, I'll put some links to some of that stuff down below so you guys can read it in the description section of the video. But this is kind of more of a rant, and you know, I've heard lots of people ask about why I should, why they shouldn't, blah blah blah. And I'm going to go ahead and just do, you know, like I'm doing right now. I'm going to do a quick video so you can see this is the reason why I think you should, you know, not ever use herbal medicine. The final one, number 5, is kind of the most important out of the bunch. And that's if you don't know what you're doing. Now, I'm not saying that doctors don't know what they're doing, but from everything that I've seen, they tend to try to treat the symptoms, right? And they don't necessarily look at the underlying cause. And from day one in medical school, they are taught quality of life. They're not taught, hey, we're working on cures. Hey, we can fix the problem. Hey, you know, anything simple. They don't, you know, it's just quality of life. Well, we'll just give the patient a better quality of life. Because, you know, the pharmaceutical industry, when you break plants down by the compounds and you just have single compounds, that's where you end up with your side effects. That's where you end up with your compounds that don't work as effectively as they could or should, because you've broken down what nature has synergistically put together. Herbs do work. I mean, they're used everywhere else in the world except the United States. There's golden seal, which is considered the most powerful antibiotic in the world, and arguably it is considered one of the most medicinally powerful herbs in the world. It's really, really strong. It's good for your body. It kills just about every microbe that I've read in all the studies, and it's done it better than antibiotics, the leading antibiotics that they use. So, you know, but why isn't that touted? Well, it was back in the 80s. Golden seal was the thing. People said, oh, if you take that, you pass drug tests, and, you know, golden seal's the thing. And people picked it because, you know, humans are dumb, picked it almost to the point of extinction, which would have done the pharmaceuticals great, right? They'd been like, yes, now there goes our leading natural competitor. You know, get it out of there. And, you know, people wouldn't have known. But luckily, well, or maybe, you know, I'm not a huge fan of regulation, but at least the government regulated it to the point to where you weren't allowed to pick it. You have to, you know, you have to be licensed. It's endangered. It's, you know, you got to be careful. You don't want to eat it all. And no, you don't want to eat it all. And from the research that I've read, I've come to find out that we've been using golden seal wrong for decades. Everybody's like, oh, you need golden seal root. That's the most powerful. Oh, golden seal root's the best. But from the latest medical studies that I've read, the leaf actually does better than the root. And if you're just taking the leaf, you're not killing the whole dang plant. That means next year, it's still there for you to harvest more leaf, so you have more medicine. Kind of an interesting little cycle you have called nature. But if you don't know what you're doing, and you're just trying to treat the symptoms, you could cause more problems than good. You're not helping your body. You're not treating the problem, okay? Some symptoms may be because, you know, your liver's shutting down, but other parts of your body that you don't typically, that you wouldn't think would be associated with your liver, those are the ones you're treating, or that's the side effect you're treating. And it's giving you your boost in the wrong part of your body where you don't need it. That is unfortunate, but people do that too. And, you know, here in the United States, it's not like we can just tell people, oh yeah, well, you know, this, or this, because, you know, I'm not a doctor. And because I'm not a doctor, I can't tell people that they're either using it wrong or they're using it right. Or, you know, I make sure I'm very careful. I don't tell people what you should take. I give people the science that I found and then let them make up their own minds on what they buy. And typically speaking, most of our customers that come into our store are fairly well informed. They understand what this is all about. And you know, some of them are really, it's really a blessing when those customers come in, because it's like, oh yay, you know, I don't have to go into full detail about all this and try to find a way to shield my words so I'm not being held accountable for recommending something that I'm not recommending. It becomes a bit of a nightmare. You know, my job can be a little difficult at times. But those are the 5 main reasons why you shouldn't use herbal medicine. Now, you know, maybe I should do another video on the different reasons why you should do herbal medicine. And if so, you know, please leave it in the comment section below. Let me know. in the comment section. Say, hey man, that sounds like a good one. Why don't you do that? Or, you know, like my friend Kim did. Hi Kim. Ah, I mentioned you in 2 videos. She recommended one in particular, so I did that for her. So don't be afraid to do that. Don't be shy. And let me know what you think. If you did like this video, please give it a like and a share. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any more of our videos. I am back up on track. I don't think things are as crazy busy as they have been, so I should be able to get back up to my minimum 1 video a week. This is my video this week, so hopefully you all saw it. And if you have any comments on how I can make them better, please let me know. But hopefully you guys have a great weekend. Stay safe. And I hope you enjoyed the content. Everybody have a great day. Goodbye.